A Course in Miracles. Review 6. Introduction. For this review, we take but one idea each day and practice it as often as is possible. Besides the time you give morning and evening, which should not be less than 15 minutes, and the hourly remembrances you make throughout the day, use the idea as often as you can between them. Each of these ideas alone would be sufficient for salvation if it were learned truly. Each would be enough to give release to you and to the world from every form of bondage and invite the memory of God to come again. With this in mind, we start our practicing, in which we carefully review the thoughts the Holy Spirit has bestowed on us in our last 20 lessons. Each contains the whole curriculum if understood, practiced, accepted, and applied to all the seeming happenings throughout the day. One is enough. But from that one, there must be no exceptions made. And so we need to use them all and let them blend as one, as each contributes to the whole we learn. These practice sessions, like our last review, are centered round a central theme with which we start and end each lesson. It is this: I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. The day begins and ends with this, and we repeat it every time the hour strikes, or we remember in between. We have a function that transcends the world we see. Beyond this, and a repetition of the special thought we practice for the day, no form of exercise is urged, except a deep relinquishment of everything that clutters up the mind and makes it deaf to reason, sanity, and simple truth. We will attempt to get beyond all words and special forms of practicing for this review. For we attempt, this time, to reach a quickened pace along a shorter path to the serenity and peace of God. We merely close our eyes and then forget all that we thought we knew and understood. For thus is freedom given us from all we did not know and failed to understand. There is but one exception to this lack of structuring. Permit no idle thought to go unchallenged. If you notice one, deny its hold, and hasten to assure your mind that this is not what it would have. Then gently let the thought which you denied be given up, in sure and quick exchange for the idea we practice for the day. When you are tempted, hasten to proclaim your freedom from temptation as you say, "This thought I do not want. I choose instead blank." And then repeat the idea for the day and let it take the place of what you thought. Beyond such special applications of each day's idea, we will add but a few formal expressions or specific thoughts to aid in practicing. Instead, we give these times of quiet to the teacher who instructs in quiet, speaks of peace, and gives our thoughts whatever meaning they may have. To him I offer this review for you. I place you in his charge, and let him teach you what to do and say and think each time you turn to him. He will not fail to be available to you each time you call to him to help you. Let us offer him the whole review we now begin, and let us also not forget to whom it has been given, as we practice day by day, advancing toward the goal he set for us, allowing him to teach us how to go, and trusting him completely for the way each practice period can best become a loving gift of freedom to the world. You kept looking for new answers. What if you only had one question? A Course in Miracles, Review 6. How many answers have you collected over your lifetime? Books, podcasts, sermons, courses, relationships, success formulas, spiritual practices. How many of them promised that this would finally be the one? What if none of them were solving different problems? What if every answer you've ever searched for was trying to answer the exact same question? And what if the search never ended because you weren't missing another answer? What if you never found the first question? A Course in Miracles makes one of the boldest claims in the entire workbook. It says one idea, truly learned, would be enough for salvation. If that's true, then perhaps you've never had hundreds of problems. Perhaps you've only ever had one question. That sounds impossible until you read what comes next. A Course in Miracles says, each of these ideas alone would be sufficient for salvation if it were learned truly. One idea, not 365, one. Then it says something even more astonishing. Each contains a whole curriculum, if understood. Think about that for a moment. The workbook is not 365 different truths. It is one truth viewed from 365 directions.
Like a prism, one light appears as many colors. The colors seem different, yet every one came from the same light. Every lesson seems different, yet each contains the whole. That changes the way we think about learning. The ego believes wisdom comes by collecting more information. The Holy Spirit teaches depth instead of accumulation. The question is no longer, how many lessons have I finished? The question becomes, have I truly learned even one? Understanding is more than agreeing with an idea. Understanding becomes practice. Practice becomes acceptance. Acceptance becomes application. The idea stops being something you admire. It becomes the way you see everything that seems to happen throughout the day. That is why the Course says one idea is enough. Then Jesus adds the condition almost everyone overlooks. One is enough, but from that one, there must be no exceptions made. That sentence deserves to stop us in our tracks. The ego survives one exception at a time. I am at peace, except today. I am free, except when my body hurts. My brother is innocent, except this one person. Every exception quietly argues that truth applies almost everywhere, just not here. Truth never asks for an exception, only the ego does. That is why this review begins and ends with the same foundation. I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. Jesus keeps returning to this because he keeps returning to the first assumption. The assumption that has gone almost entirely unquestioned. I am a body. If that assumption remains, every lesson becomes another interesting concept. When that assumption is questioned, every lesson begins pointing to the same freedom. Then comes another instruction that is easy to read and even easier to overlook. Permit no idle thought to go unchallenged. Notice what Jesus does not ask us to do. He does not ask us to fear our thoughts. He does not ask us to suppress them. He does not ask us to wrestle with them. He asks us to challenge them. Every thought becomes a witness called to the stand. Where did this thought come from? What assumption gave it life? Does it begin with fear? Does it begin with separation? Does it begin with lack? Does it begin with the belief that I am merely a body? If it does, the investigation has already uncovered its source. The thought was never standing on its own. It borrowed its strength from the same original assumption. Then Jesus invites us even deeper. He says to forget everything we thought we knew and understood. The ego hears loss. The Holy Spirit offers freedom. The mind has become crowded with conclusions that were never questioned. The quiet we seek is not something we manufacture. It is what remains after the clutter is released. By the end of this introduction, something remarkable has happened. 365 lessons have become one curriculum. Hundreds of answers have become one answer. Thousands of problems have become one assumption. That is why the search for another answer can continue for a lifetime. Every new answer assumes something was missing.
But what if nothing was ever missing? What if every lesson has been pointing to the same truth from the very beginning? Then perhaps you have never needed another answer. Perhaps you have only needed the willingness to question the one assumption that made every other question seem necessary. And if that assumption is finally brought into the light, you may discover you never had hundreds of questions. You only ever had one.